Vivian Vance was born Vivian Roberta Jones on July 26, 1909, in Cherryvale, Kansas. She was an American actress and singer best known for her iconic role as Ethel Mertz on the groundbreaking sitcom I Love Lucy. She grew up in a big family and had a strict upbringing, but she had a deep passion for the performing arts from a very young age. Her interest in acting led her to go against her parents' wishes and leave her hometown to follow her dreams of becoming a star. Her determination, raw talent, and natural comedic timing helped her make a name for herself in Hollywood, making her one of the most beloved character actresses in TV history. Vance's early years were marked by a desire to escape the societal expectations of small-town women. America grew up in a very religious home, and her parents didn't want her to be an actress because they thought it was immoral. This conflict between her desire for independence and her family's beliefs drove her to do well in the performing arts. Vance went to Independence High School and started performing in local plays there. Vance's early experience on stage sparked her interest in acting, and she soon moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she joined the Albuquerque Little Theater. It was there that she honed her skills and started to make a name for herself, despite her growing talent. Vance's path to fame was anything but easy. Like many aspiring actors, she faced rejection, financial problems, and times of self-doubt. To make ends meet, she worked as a sales clerk and a secretary. Vance also had problems with her mental health, going through bouts of depression that almost derailed her plans. But she didn't give up, and her hard work paid off when she got a string of roles on Broadway, slowly earning the respect of her peers. She was in a number of productions, including Anything Goes in Hey for What, where her performances caught the attention of people in the industry. It was clear that Vance had a special mix of charm, wit, and musical talent in 1951. When Vance was cast as the strange and interesting landlady Ethel Mertz on I Love Lucy, her life and career took a huge turn. Lucy's life would never be the same after getting the part, and she would go down in TV history along with Lucille Ball and Daisy Arnz. Vance added a new level of humor and meaning. Great job with Ethel, who became Lucy Ricardo's best friend and crime partner even though she was only a background character. Vance's performance as Ethel Mertz became just as famous as Lucille Ball's as Lucy. She and William Frawley, who played her grumpy and much older husband, made a great team that became the heart of the show. An extra layer of humor was added to the show by Fred Mertz off-screen, but the two actors were said to dislike each other, and Foley in particular was known for being hard to work with. Their age difference made their on-screen relationship even more tense. Marriage looks even funnier. It was said that Vance didn't like playing the wife of a guy 22 years older than her, but she turned the tension between them into comedy gold by using their different personalities to make the relationship between their characters funnier. Despite their differences, both of their performances were praised, and the comedic timing between them was perfect for her role as Ethel Mertz. Vance won the first Emmy Award for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, solidifying her reputation as one of TV's most loved and talented stars. Her ability to balance physical comedy with a realistic, sympathetic portrayal of Ethel made her a standout performer, and viewers quickly came to love her. Vance's character wasn't just Lucy's sidekick, she was a full-fledged comedic force in her own right, often being the perfect balance to Lucy's more over-the-top antics. This dynamic duo helped I Love Lucy become one of the most popular and long-running comedies of all time. Once Lucy was over, Vance played Ethel again on the Lucy Daisy Comedy Hour and later on one of Lucille Ball's shows. Her personal life was not without its problems, though she eventually quit the Lucy show to focus on other things. Vance was married 4 times in her life, and her relationships were often rocky emotionally. Her first 2 marriages ended in divorce, and she had long periods of sadness and anxiety that were made worse by the pressures of fame in the entertainment business. In the last few years of her life, Vance's health started to get worse. She had a number of problems, including a nervous breakdown, which she blamed on the stress of her job. Despite these problems, she kept working in TV and theater, though her later roles never quite reached the heights of her performance in I Love Lucy. In the 1970s, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and fought it bravely, but it took a cruel turn that eventually spread. Vance spent her last years alone in California with her 4th husband, John Dodds, living a quieter life. People loved Vivian Vance for her part as Ethel Mertz on the famous TV show I Love Lucy. Lucy's relationship with her co-star William Frawley, who played her on-screen husband Fred and Ethel Mertz, was known to be very rocky. Dynamic was not at all the loving, albeit argumentative, couple they played on TV. In fact, the cast and crew of the show knew they didn't like each other, and their rivalry became one of the most talked about off-screen rivalries in TV history. The actors hated each other so much that when William Frawley died in 1966, Vance was said to have openly celebrated his death, which shocked many of her fans but made sense to those who knew about their years of bitter rivalry. The problems in their relationship started early in the casting process for I Love Lucy. Vance, who was almost 22 years younger than Frawley, didn't want to be cast as his wife because she thought the age difference made their on-screen relationship seem unrealistic. A stern, family-like attitude didn't help to calm her fears. Frawley, on the other hand, was also unhappy because he thought Vance's youthful energy clashed with his established acting style. He was said to dislike Vance for being cast with him, and from the start, they treated each other badly and didn't respect each other. This caused years of trouble on and off the set. Vance and Frawley's friendship at work only got worse as I Love Lucy progressed. Their sharp personalities often clashed, and their interactions behind the scenes turned into known for having a lot of insults and passive-aggressive comments. Vance was a skilled stage actress with a background in musical theater. She often found it hard to work with Frawley because of his old-fashioned way of acting, which relied heavily on broad gestures and a deadpan delivery. Fry, a veteran character actor who had been in Hollywood for decades, found Vance's more modern and energetic acting style to be GRN. There were real tensions on set, and directors and other cast members, like Lucille Ball and Daisy Arnz, often had to mediate between the two, on top of their professional disagreements. Vance's dislike for Frawley grew over time. Frawley, who was known for having an easily forgettable personality and loving to drink, often said hurtful things about Vance's looks and skills. He allegedly called her a washed-up has-been and made it clear that he didn't like her. Vance was just as mean back, often making fun of what Fry's age and health are, calling him a grumpy old goat and moaning about having to play his wife. Their vocal fights became famous among the cast and crew, who would sometimes see them. Even though they got along well on screen, the two actors got into heated arguments and insults when the cameras weren't running. It was clear that Vance and Frawley's relationship was anything but peaceful off-screen. The tension between them continued after they stopped working together on I Love Lucy. When the show ended, there were talks of making a spin-off series about Fred and Ethel Mertz, but Vance refused to work on any project that would require her to work with Frawley again. Frawley was eager to keep working, but her refusal made him even more angry at her, and this made him even more angry at her. The proposed spin-off never happened, and both actors went their different ways after I Love. Once Lucy ended, they were no longer together, but they were still angry with each other until Frawley died in 1966. Reports say that when Vance heard the news of Fry's death, her feelings toward him had turned into pure anger. Vance reacted with relief and even joy. She is said to have told friends that she was glad he was dead and didn't feel sad or grief over the death of her former co-star. While her reaction may seem strange, it was the result of years of anger and frustration. Their deep-seated dislike for each other, both on and off screen, had left a permanent mark on Vance, and she saw Frawley's death as the end of a painful chapter in her life. Vance's celebration of Fry's death can be understood in light of how hard their work relationship had been on her emotionally as well as how funny it had been. Behind the scenes, magic on the screen. Vance had been stressed and unhappy while working with Frawley. For her, Frawley's death marked the end of a relationship that had been tense and hostile. It also brought up the fact that not all co-stars become close friends or keep in touch for life. Even though she was upset about Fry's death, the problems that happen off-screen can be just as serious as the ones that happen on-screen. Vance went on to have a great career and leave a legacy as one of TV's most beloved stars. Comedic actresses. She worked with Lucille Ball on later projects, most famously, The Lucy Show and others, and she stayed well known in Hollywood. But her tense friendship with Frawley is still one of the most famous TV stories that show that actors' personal lives aren't always as happy as the characters they play. In the end, Vance's feelings toward Foley were caused by years of unresolved anger and professional conflict, which led to an emotional response that, while controversial, made sense given their history with each other. The lovely Vivian Vance died on August 17, 1979, at the age of 70. She is no longer with us. Because of what she did for TV and her unforgettable performance as Ethel Mertz continues to make people laugh and smile all over the world. Lucy is still a great example of how funny she could be, and she is remembered as one of the most beloved TV actresses of the Golden Age. Vance's life